Resident Evil Revelations. I was originally going to do. Oh, wait, hold on. There we go. I was originally going to do a typed out synopsis on it. However, I decided to do it video because I had to type it out and then have to find someplace to post it and then give people links, whatnot. Is seemingly just going to be a pain in the ass. So, I will warn people ahead of time. There is going to be a lot of spoilers in this synopsis. If you haven't played the game but intend to, then I suggest you stop listening now. If you haven't played the game and don't intend to, and you want to hear what the game's about and hear what I have to say about it, being, I've been playing Resident Evil since I was, 8, and very big fan of it. You get to hear it from the fan of the original Resident Evils. Then keep watching. Who knows, you might actually like the story of it and decide to play it yourself. Alright, so to start, the environment. Alright, the environment of the game, as everyone knows, takes place on the SS Queen Zenobia. She is a cruise liner that was formerly owned by Umbrella, now owned by someone else. I'm not going to go into too big of details, but she's floating adrift in the ocean, no one at the helm. And, okay, when you first start, you enter the ship's bilge, and seemingly it looks a lot, there's blood all over the place, bodies. It looks a lot like the start of Resident Evil 5 environment. So originally your first thoughts are, oh, this game is gonna suck, because it already seems like Resident Evil 5. But don't let it fool you. The environment, at that point, it wasn't anything special, but, I mean, you're on a cruise ship, the lower cruise quarters, it's all steel doors and, steel walls, garbage all over the place, blood, bodies. You see a few enemies and whatnot at the beginning. Eventually you end up in the upper decks, where it's a bit more elaborate. You're walking through the halls and you just get this feeling like, I feel like I've been somewhere like this before. Now, after a few minutes going through the halls, you meet up with your partner in a dining room. You look at this dining room and you just think, this is all looking somewhat familiar. Now, in the dining room, there's a gate with a wall with a helm behind it. Well, on the wall, behind the gate. Now, I originally thought it was a wall. And I got the key, I opened the gate, and I hit the F button on, I played on computer, so it'd be the F button for me, the action button, I should just say, on the wall, and it was actually a door. After going through 2 sets of doors, I ended up in a 3-story, I guess you'd call it the grand staircase, the main hall. Well, this main hall, you can tell just by looking at it, the Gothic Victorian architecture, the vaulted ceilings, all the chandeliers and candlelight. Not too much candlelight, but it screams out the name George Trevor. And actually you find a file on the ship that says that the ship's interiors were based off a design that George Trevor left before he disappeared after the construction of the Spencer Mansion in 1968. So, the interior, it definitely felt like Resident Evil. I mean, the only thing that kind of threw it off is obviously Spencer Mansion. You had fixed camera angles and whatnot. You don't with this. The only issue is with how elaborate it was. It didn't quite fit. Like, some of the areas on the ship, you can tell, like, oh yeah, this has been abandoned for a while, but then, like, areas like that main hall, the casino, and whatnot, they don't fit the description of a a ship that has been abandoned and floating at sea for who knows how long. because, you know, all the staff and crew turned into monsters. Alright, so the environment of the game was pretty neat. I mean, it definitely felt more like Resident Evil than, say, 4, 5, or 6. That's for sure. I mean, some people argue that 4 still felt like Resident Evil, but it really didn't. I mean, the Queen Zenobia was a closed but open environment. You weren't, like, traveling across the map of the freaking globe like you did in, 4. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Environment, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Alright, on to the next section for 6 minutes in. Enemies. The enemies were a slight bit of a disappointment. I mean, they took any kind of almost human aspect out of them, and they were okay. I mean, it just, again, doesn't feel entirely like Resident Evil. The mutations and stuff they gave him, it just seemed weird. Like, there's this one enemy, he has like a chainsaw built on his hand. It's like, okay, I don't think there's a mutation that could cause that. The only thing more pain in the ass than that are the hunters that can go invisible. Yes, invisible hunters. You know what makes them worse? When you have to fight other things, and then out of nowhere, you get slammed by an invisible hunter. Oh, and your ammo is quite limited, so, you see the hunter one place, then he goes invisible, boom, you just wasted a shotgun shell, is what I was using on them. And then they were in a completely different spot, so that was a waste of a bullet. And, yeah, it was just bad. I mean, the good thing about this one versus a lot of the other games is they did leave spaces quite open that you could run past them and whatnot, and go through other doors need be. However, they did make it in some spots where you have to fight. Otherwise, you can't continue. And there is a section where you're fighting a group of these invisible hunters. So really, it wasted a lot of ammo. I died several times because I ran out of ammo. Going up against an invisible hunter with a knife didn't work in my favor. I mean, yeah, eventually I got it, but they killed me a few times. I'd give... one other enemy. This woman, Rachel, who dies and turns into one of the mutations. Now, she is the biggest pain in the ass in the whole game. She really is. She is incredibly hard to kill. I mean, I was playing the game on casual because I wanted to play through it and be able to write a synopsis on it, whatnot. Now, I would use half my ammo to kill her. I'd get past her after I killed her, walk into the next room, and there she is right in front of me again. Yeah. She's right in front of me again after I just killed her. Now, the spaces I was running into her were, quite close quarters. Not to mention, both times I ran into her, she had other enemies with her, so not only am I trying to kill her, I'm trying not to get bashed by these other enemies, and I'm using all of my ammo killing her, and then before I know it, I have all these enemies and I have no ammo. I mean, I see what they tried to do. They tried to appease the both fans, and you know what? I can agree with that. You tried mixing action and survival horror, and, well, unfortunately, in some cases, it didn't quite work out the way you'd have hoped, but, I mean, it was a good try. The item management in the game, they brought back the item box. I can't really say too much about the item management because I'm still trying to figure it out. The ammunition management, at the beginning of the game, what you notice is they hadn't so much restricted the amount of ammo in the game. They just restricted the amount you can carry. Like, At the beginning of the game, your gun holds 10 bullets, and you can carry a max of 30. Now, it's annoying because you run out of bullets quite fast, and then you have to run back and remember where you found all the bullets to go get them. I mean, you had the, I completely forget what it's called, but it scans the room and you can find hidden items and whatnot. Now, that works and all, but again, like, the older Resident Evils, you could carry as much ammo as you want. However, the enemies were harder to kill. There were fewer enemies than in this, but they were harder to kill, so you used the bullets really fast. And the problem was, with this one, is you'll be in a room full of enemies, you have 40 bullets in your gun, and then you run into the next room, there's more enemies, you might have, I don't know, in between 10 and 20 bullets left in your gun, and then it's like, oh crap, before I can go any further, I have to run back and see if I can't find some ammo. Because you find the ammo all over the place. The problem is, you can only carry so much. I mean, you can pick up these things, the cartridges, so that you can actually carry more as you go throughout the game. But, I mean, it just made it a bit of a pain in the ass, especially when you had enemies that you kill them, and then they're right back alive in the next room. Alright. The overall gameplay, I would have to say it is definitely a big improvement from 4 or 5. Well, yeah, it played almost kind of like 4, except it played like a cross between an original Resident Evil and 4, which I guess to appease the both fans, you know, something like that has to be done. Now, the gameplay itself played a lot like 4, but it was in the closed environment area, like, you know, say, the first one. And it was a breath of fresh air. I mean, it played a lot more like a Resident Evil game than 4, 5, or 6. But, my synopsis of the game, it's a really good game. It's definitely a big improvement. I just hope that, you know, they can fix some of the other minor difficulties with the game. I mean, the hunter thing, that was just annoying because, like, they used all of my ammo. And then, do you know what it's like to have to go up against 3 or 4 hunters with a knife? They killed me, like, 10 times. It was just, you know, wasted ammo and health. The point in a survival horror game is to use your ammo sparingly. It's kind of hard to do that when you have to kill everything to proceed. But you have things like enemies that, you know, they just don't die, or they can go invisible. I mean, the invisible thing was what got me the most, because, I don't know, it's a little too far-fetched for my taste. But, no, it was a really good game. I would recommend it. And, well, we're going on 14 minutes here. And, well, I think that's pretty much all I have to say. It plays a lot more like the original Resident Evils. I just hope they can fix some of the other issues. Another thing I have it for a computer, as I said. In between the doors on the Queen Zenobia, it can get a little laggy. And same thing with on elevators, whatnot. I hope stuff like that they can fix. As for people with the graphics, I mean, come on, it was a 3DS game that they ported onto other systems. I mean, they didn't expect to have upscale graphics on the 3DS, and it would have costed a ton of money to up them for everything else. Graphics aren't everything, but anyway, I have about 30 seconds left till the 15-minute mark, so I'm going to close this out now. And if I see any more, I'll tell you later. And hey, look, there's a spider on my ceiling. Alright, well, I'll talk to you later.